Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are live today with Gilad from VAA Philippines, and we're just going to go through some options in streamlining your e-commerce business. Gilad, thank you so much for joining us again. How are you?
I'm good, Piero. Well, thanks for having me here, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be talking about my favorite subject, delegating
Absolutely.
and helping you to grow your business.
Amazing, amazing. We're gonna kick off straight away because Gilad, you have a wealth of experience. You're an Amazon seller yourself, so I'm gonna go straight away into the importance of outsourcing and outsourcing services, especially as an Amazon seller. From your own experience, because I know when we've spoken before that you try to do everything yourself, but you just saw some of the difficulty that you get as an e-commerce business that's trying to grow. From your own experience, what is it that you would outsource, and what help would an Amazon seller need?
So, I mean, when you're starting out as an Amazon seller, you try to do everything yourself. It's a matter of budget. It's also a matter of that I talked about it last time, that you're so used to do everything yourself because everything is in front of you in the computer, so you might as well do it yourself. And you don't think as you should be thinking about your business. Like, okay, you have a business plan, how I should operate, how I should grow. I should hire people even from the beginning to help me grow faster. You're pretty much in the private label zone. You're doing things yourself and you're advancing in your own rhythm. And that's the way I started. The business grew, and it grew faster than I could handle. It's nice and good if you're selling like 5-10 units a day with one ASIN. That's nice and good. You can do things yourself, but sooner or later you will find yourself, like I found myself, that you don't have enough time. And when you don't have enough time, you start to think, okay, there are two options here. One is that I start to neglect several things. You don't think about it as neglecting, but you think, okay,
Yeah,
you know what? Instead of doing the PPC every day, nothing happens if I do it once a week. And then after that, it'll become like once in 2 weeks, and then once in a month. And I posted a week ago on Facebook, so I don't have time to do it now. I will post next week. And then actually nothing gets done, and you're stuck with putting out fires and doing what's urgent and responding to things instead of building a plan of action for the long run, which will be automated in terms of leading you to growth. And that's what I've discovered after starting to hire VAs. When I started to hire VAs in the beginning, it was I would call it now as an Amazon VA, the person that I hired, that helped me in the everyday aspects of my business. But now when I think about it, when somebody's starting to build a plan to grow their business, obviously you should have a plan of action, for the next years to come. And even from day one, you start to think, okay, which tasks should I delegate? What do I want myself to be occupied during the day in order for me to focus still on growth, and what I want other people to do for me. And I've built in the entire company of VAA Virtual Assistant Academy based on that. I divided it into different departments in order to cover all the aspects such as PPC, social media. I'll be happy to talk about these aspects, during this interview. But the idea is that you think, what do I need to do myself? And if somebody else can do it for me, then you start to create a plan of action, building SOPs, deciding, okay, these are responsibilities that I should not have. I should focus on the only thing that I know how to do best, which is promoting my brand, taking it to the next level. That's what I do best, and this is what I should focus on, and this is how I built it.
amazing. I think the whole purpose of that, and it's quite clear with what VAA Philippines does as well, it's all about the expertise, right? You can call yourself an expert in whatever you want. So if you're, as you said, Gilad, if your expertise is in growing the brand, thinking about what's next, thinking about its growth, you can, and you'd say, instead, I'm not the best, for example, at PPC, then you go and get, for example, a VA that can really show their expertise and help you out with that. And that's what we do, especially here at AVASK as well. We have our expertise in taxation and the requirements that you have to expand into other countries, whether it is from wherever you are as an Amazon business, whether it is going to the US market or expand in Europe, in the UAE or Australia. there are some set of requirements, not just tax wise, but actual eco laws wise in terms of EPR as well. Those are the things that you will need in order to basically actually access the market in the first place. So that expertise become really, really essential. And having someone that you can outsource and trust, I think that is the main purpose of outsourcing the business. Because as you said, sometimes you all of a sudden start maybe neglecting sometimes some stuff, and all of a sudden what you were achieving you can't achieve more because you're growing too fast, which
Yeah.
is quite important, I'd say.
I tell you something. Sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting
no,
you.
go ahead. Yeah.
I think that one of our problems as in entrepreneurs, that we start as solopreneurs, is that we tend to think that we are experts in everything. Who can think, who knows my product more than I do? So I'm going to be the best one to do customer service. If I'm going to, work with my suppliers, I should be doing it myself, because I'm the only one that knows exactly what I want to do and how to change my product so it will be the best in the market. I'm the only one that could, open account and start selling in the UK, for example. And this is a mistake. And so it's not really about, if you think like, okay, I'm the best on PPC, so I should keep my PPC because nobody else can do it better than me. It's more like, what's your what's your advantage over other brands? And I found that and this is actually not just only me, that's the advantage of most entrepreneurs. They're doing best to think where they want to take their brand to the next step, how to grow, what to look for new things, and to take their business over there. And for example, PPC, or for example, advancing into starting to sell in the UK, even though you could maybe do it yourself, it doesn't mean that you should. Maybe you're an expert on creating, opening tax accounts and so on. It doesn't mean that you have to spend all your time and effort in doing that yourself. Or maybe you should focus on taking your business to the next level, thinking already what you're going to do when you're starting to sell in the UK, for example, and having somebody else do it for you. And this is why it goes the same with PPC or social media. Maybe you're perfect, you know everything about social media. It doesn't mean that you have to do your social media for your brand. You have to do other things that only you, as the owner of the company, should do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think from a business perspective, outsourcing is relatively cheap compared to, for example, let's say you're an established business that wants to think about the growth and you're the CEO and the owner. All of a sudden, you're having to need help and you try to in-house hire. You hire a person, an e-commerce lead, for example, for Amazon. That can be even an Amazon expert. Overall, you're now have, for example, for a UK company, you have payroll and pension issues where you have to fund this whole person just to run this business. And they necessarily still won't be able to do, let's say, the VAT registrations in outsource. They still may not have the customer service experience that you may need to handle the returns for your clients and handle the communication. So the outsourcing compared, it has many benefits for the type of the cost that you're paying for as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people don't think about it, but the cost for delegating work is much cheaper than taking your own time and evaluating how much time it takes from you about your business, because we don't think as our time as precious. But it is if you want to grow it and if you want to exit your brand as at an earlier stage. So I definitely agree with what you say.
Yeah, and a further question is understanding, for example, let's say this is a new business that's really growing fast, but has just started, let's say, just midway last year, but it's showing great signs of growth.
Yeah.
From your perspective, with VAA Philippines doing such parts of all the parts of Amazon, really, and the Amazon needs, what would you recommend to concentrate on to start with?
All right, so this is a good question, because we have two types of sellers. Actually, we have sellers that come to us and they have huge brands. They've been selling for years on Amazon and outside of Amazon. They've started to grow their companies 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and Amazon is just another funnel for them, and they have what it takes, and for them it's completely a different way of looking at how they want to expand into Amazon, compared to somebody who's just starting out their business and they have budget which is much limited, and they want to think, okay, I understand that I need to delegate, but where should I take it? I mean, what should I do with VA? I wouldn't say that you should use your VA from step one of like finding the right products. I mean, a lot of sellers think that they should use their VA for sourcing products. It's something that the VA can help you with, obviously, but it's something that you should know yourself how to do first, because you're the entrepreneur, you're the one that knows where you want to take your business to the next step, and you know how much money you're going to put into it. It's your money, and you have to have experience into finding products yourself in the beginning, so you know how to work with a VA. It doesn't mean that the VA cannot do sourcing for you, because obviously it's a repetitive task that takes forever, and you can definitely use the VA to help you to do competitor research, keyword research, finding the right suppliers, and so on. But don't start with that. Go finish this task yourself, so you're confident in the product that you chose yourself, even if it takes you time, because after it will be easier for you to run a team of VAs that will find a lot of products for you because you've done it yourself. I would say that the first step for an Amazon seller would be to worry about advertising. Advertising, like hiring a PPC VA, will really take your product that has zero visibility in the beginning, and with the right keyword ranking, with the right advertising, to put it in front of a lot of potential customers. And that's the way that you use in order to grow faster. Because in the beginning, to hire like an Amazon VA to do customer service, you're not there yet. You don't have a lot of inquiries, you don't have a lot of people, you don't have sales yet. You're just starting your way. You don't need somebody to handle all the shipments and inventory. You can do it still yourself in the beginning. But advertising is important in the beginning. So
Yeah.
if you don't know how to do it, definitely hire somebody that's an expert on this. And also, if you do, then already, like I said before, worry about the next steps and hire somebody to take it from there.
Amazing. I think from that tip, I would go into what's quite important in terms of the cash flow side of things for a business, where like especially when a brand is growing so quickly, I would say you're still invested in buying your inventory, making sure that you have enough stock to actually deal with the demand. By doing so, what I would expect is there's a lot of companies that do, for example, like our partners at Sellers Funding, that will help you with the funding process, where they will look at your financial, they'll look at the growth rate, and they will lend you money accordingly to be able to have that cash flow. For example, in this case, outsource VAA Philippines for a PPC VA, because all of a sudden you have the stock that's ready to be sold, and you have the PPC that gets the ads and gets in front of your customers' faces. I think that's becomes a win-win situation in that regard. But thank you so much for the background on that, and I agree with the PPC being I think the main one, simply because advertising becomes so important in terms of getting the product in front of people's faces. So let's move on in terms towards the goals and the strategies that a business should set. Simply because I think from current experience, when I start one of my consultancy, there's one key question and phrase that I use to really understand what the client wants, and that is asking what is it that they want to achieve. Whether it is becoming the biggest brand in the world for a determined industry, or whether it is to have a 3 to 4 year plan to eventually sell their Amazon business. From your own experience, Gilad, what are the tips and traits that you would say are very important in achieving those goals and strategies, and how to set them?
Right. So especially if you want to eventually sell your business, then you have to think already that when somebody's going to buy your business eventually, they will not want to see that the entire business is based on you. If you ask, like, who is doing PPC? Me. Who is doing social media? Me. Who is the one in charge of deciding when to purchase another inventory? Me. Then you have a problem, because okay, now you're selling the business, but you're not selling yourself with the business. And now what? So this is something that you plan strategically from the beginning, of understanding, okay, this should be an automated run business, that I'm there, but I can walk out of it and have somebody else come in as an owner and manage it for with the current staff, or with other staff that will be taught to work the same way. So in this case, there are several aspects that we see from big sellers, that they're building their brand towards success or toward the exit. One is they take care of all, they divide the departments between advertising, and then they have either one VA, it could be one PPC VA, for example, or it could be a team, a department of PPC VAs all working. It depends on how many products you have, how many units you have. But and let's say, for the sake of simplicity, that you're taking one VA, one PPC VA. So you have to make sure that you have the advertising part inside of Amazon covered. So that means hiring a PPC VA. I'll start with this because it comes back to what I talked before. So you have to make sure that you have somebody whose work is really on a repetitive, fixed schedule of going over your listings, going over, making sure that everything is indexed correctly, going over the campaigns, getting the reports, updating the campaigns, using tools such as Helium 10 or Atomic, or it could be either using Amped, for example, like in order to bring Google ads back into Amazon and getting the attribution. So using all these external tools and managing your PPC. So that's one aspect of it. So you're there already as somebody supervising the process, but not actually doing it yourself. You're not the one adjusting the bids. Okay, somebody else can do it for you. And if you're there now on vacation, you know that still things are done on regular basis. It doesn't mean that they are not done, and it's okay because I can do it in a week from now and it will not change dramatically, because it will change. So you have this covered. The second aspect is the social media part. Social media VAs is really more for the long run, and this is exactly where you're aiming if you want to sell your business. So when you want to sell your business, you have to make sure that you have brand awareness outside of Amazon, that you have an established Facebook page, Instagram page, Pinterest, that you're working already with influencers, even inside of Amazon, that you have Amazon posts. So you have a wide coverage of visibility on social media. And this is something that a social media VA is doing for you on a regular basis, or creating content and posting it. So you have to have this covered as well. And the last part is with the Amazon administrative tasks. Like you mentioned, somebody managing your inventory could be using SoStock or any other tool, or manually, and shipment plans, and knowing how to open cases with Amazon and ask for reimbursements and things like that. So you have to have somebody running all your administrative tasks on the everyday work in Seller Central. These are the most important topics to cover if you want to sell later on your business. Obviously, from this, once you know that you have this covered, this is what you need, then from there on, you could always hire also a creative, graphic designers, video editors. You can work with them project-based, but they should be a part of your business plan. And you should start creating your SOPs in order to make sure that everything is functioning the way it should. But this is already a major step into working towards automation in order to sell your brand for a higher price.
Yeah, amazing. I think everything you said just shows the importance of being planned. As we've said, handling everything on your own, and when you're coming to a point of selling, because they can't buy you necessarily, they'll have to buy the business, and you're handling everything. All of a sudden, that's like maybe a no-no for them. So the need for a plan becomes really essential for us. From my own experience dealing with our type of clients that are looking to expand, it's all about product research and understanding whether your product is suited to the market, right? So one great example that I've always used is a company that's making hot sauce. Great brand in the US. Hot sauce is such a popular thing for the type of food. That product translates well in many markets, such as Asian markets, Australia, even the UAE, the UK as well has a great industry towards hot and spicy food. But from my own experience, I've been born and lived in Italy. I know for a fact that Italian people don't necessarily translate to that product very well. They're not the best at buying and eating spicy food. So all of a sudden, you've spent money and you've concentrated on launching the whole of the EU, but the product is not translating very well in these countries because they're not buying it. So from that perspective, as much as PPC becomes important, it's getting the product in front of faces, but at the same time, it's all about getting in front of the right faces and the right customers. So I think that's it's a small step in a very big puzzle that you've already spoken about, having all these outsourcing businesses helping you. But it is all about having that strategic plan that's ready for you to either grow continuously or to be able to have a plan where at the end of that 3 to 4 year mark, you end up selling.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And we're going to go into the final section, and it's all about you, really, Gilad, simply because I see the importance of masterminds. And luckily, this ecosystem has a lot of them where they have such expertise in being an Amazon, being involved with Amazon, being partnered with Amazon for so long. So I have one very important question, because you've lived through it yourself. What is the difference between being a brand new business that's growing fast and being an established business and achieving what you want to achieve, and kind of what are the next steps? So what are the two different thought process in the two different positions?
Well, from what we see is that usually an established brand will not worry so much about delegating and giving responsibilities, because they're already used to working with teams and delegating responsibilities. With the newer sellers, the ones that are starting their way, they're growing fast, and like I said, they have this tendency of doing everything themselves, and for them it's much harder to let go. And the faster they will learn to let go, the faster they will learn that they could actually grow faster when they will work with a team of VAs. Then that's their main goal. And our job, when they come to us and ask about it, is to explain to them that the benefits of what happens now. Okay, you're in this situation now. What will happen if instead of 10 units per day, you will have 100 units per day sold? Okay, so now how are you going to handle it when it's 10 times more? And then suddenly you start to understand why it's important to plan things in advance and not just wait until you're there and then you're stuck and then every day becomes a nightmare. You have to work on this and plan it ahead. With mature businesses, they usually come to us already with the need for more than one VA, like a team of VAs, even from the same department. And they also need our assistance in managing these VAs. So here we're not just talking about hiring, for example, a social media VA, or even hiring 3 to 4 social media VAs, one in charge of posting content, the other one in charge of graphics, the other one in charge of working with influencers, for example. We imagine it's a big brand, so they have a full-time job for each one of them. But it's more like also hiring another senior VA to manage these teams and to create all the SOPs that will go with it. Because, okay, it's good. Now you hired a VA for a full-time job or part-time job. What do you want this VA to do? I mean, it's super important to build for this VA the right environment that he or she will work offshore. And even if you're not there, they will know exactly that on Tuesday they post on Facebook. On Wednesday they contact the influencers or whatever it is. They have a fixed schedule, and everything is documented by SOPs. And that's already a challenge that you see with mature businesses. They start to create SOPs, standard operating procedures, in order to make sure that even if that first of all that everything is done on the same way, time after time after time, even if you're replacing one VA with another or adding another team member to your team, then everything is structured the way it should be. And actually we found out that the best way to do it is when the VA herself or himself will create these SOPs for you. So a lot of people are they hesitate to hire another person because they think, okay, wait a minute, I have to invest so much time now in creating all these SOPs. And instead of understanding that the VA himself or herself should create these SOPs for you, the way you do it is that you still have to put in like it's an hour of your time, but show the VA exactly your procedures of what you want things done, how you do customer service, for example, how you manage your shipments, have everything recorded at that time. Now, the VA will not ask you questions during this one-time recording because they will just listen. It's okay. But they will be able to watch it again and again and again afterwards until everything is crystal clear about the procedures and the way that you want things done. And then they will create an SOP. They will create a process, a document that will show step 1, step 2, step 3, all the different steps in order to fulfill and to reach the goals that you set. and then they will send you already the finalized document, and it's only up to you to go over it and see if everything was well understood and correct. If something is not clear over there, this will be actually a good point for you to see, okay, wait a minute, we didn't think about this point in here, and this is why the VA made a mistake and continued on the wrong path. But this is an opportunity for you to make some adjustments and fix the SOPs. But after that, once you have these SOPs created for you, then you could use them and hire more and more VAs and grow faster, instead of every time passing time into training the right people. So this is something that we see a lot with big companies. They hire more VAs, they hire a manager that will make sure not only that the VAs are doing what they should, but more that the procedures, these SOPs, are kept correctly. And to bring in more people, it will be easier using the senior manager. So this is something that we see with bigger companies.
Yeah, how interesting. Yeah, that's I think the main difference, right? The bigger you are, the more trouble you kind of get into, the more work there is to be done. And I think having this process, the SOPs, because it can be so time consuming, especially to have that, and being able to even replacing people and being able to kind of just keep on going, not affect your business. I think not many businesses can do that without outsourcing and streamlining their e-commerce business. So Gilad, thank you so much for your expertise. I really appreciate what you do, and every time we have good fun on camera as well, which is really, really good. What I wanted to kind of finally project is talk about our partner in between, which is Getida. We currently have at AVASK what I call a no-brainer offer. So for businesses, especially expanding, using outsourcing to VAs, Getida is a company that you must have in order to, reimburse yourself anything that Amazon owes you. It's a must-have business, and especially for businesses that are expanding into the EU, you're going to have a little bit further issues maybe with FBA centers and further reimbursement. So it's a company that you must deal with. It's a very no-brainer company to work with. The no-brainer offer is that Getida will help you set your VATs and your registrations up with AVASK to be able to access these new markets in the EU, and that will offer us up to $7,000 in the registration and annual compliance process. And as I said, if Getida will help you with the reimbursements and we help you with expansion, VAA helps you with all the further need that you help, all of a sudden you've outsourced enough to be able to really get that business and that Amazon business growing. So for, as I said,
it's really like the triangle of worth. What I love so much about Getida is the fact that you don't even pay commission when you work with them. They do not charge you anything up front. They provide income that you thought was lost, and then they have the percentage out of what they got for you. So you can start with zero budget, and then they help you to grow your business that way. And obviously you guys are doing a great job, and this is why I love working with you, because I see how you help sellers to advance and expand into Europe and into the UK, which for Israelis, for example, is something that is not obvious for us at all. I mean, Israelis, they go immediately to sell in the US because it's easier over there, and they miss ton of opportunities, without the help of you guys. So I super appreciate and I know of the service that you bring.
I appreciate it, Gilad. Thank you so much. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. We have our contact details below. You can contact us by email if you want to find out about VAA Philippines. We have a blog out right now as well. And if you wanted to actually ask about the Getida offer, you can email us at inquiries@avaskgroup.com. Gilad, how can they contact you?
So you could either visit our website, vaaphilippines.com, or just send us an email to it could be either a service at vaaphilippines.com or directly to me, Gilad, at vaaphilippines.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you're not too cold in Israel, but
it looks
you're looking very, very good.
Israel.
You're looking good, Gilad. So I'm wishing you a very happy new year and a prosperous year as well. And to anyone listening, please don't afraid to contact any of us. We're more than happy to help. But thank you very much for listening in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for having me.